If you had the chance to watch the Roast of Tom Brady, you most likely saw Nikki Glaser's iconic takedown of nearly everyone on stage. Literally no one was spared from her quick wit and poignant humor, and the way she delivered her roast made it seem like she was operating entirely in the moment. But she wasn't. Let's talk about it. Welcome to this week's episode of What's Jonathan Thinking? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Jonathan Thinking? If you've become a fan of this show, you likely know that I'm often inspired by watching other people perform at the top of their game. It seems to have made an impact on much of my leadership style. So much of my own work ethic, grit, and drive are wrapped up in the internalized view I have watching some of my favorite actors and musicians weave their craft in a way that makes it look effortless and natural. The most recent example of this is Nikki Glaser's amazing performance in Netflix's The Roast of Tom Brady. I think it can safely be said that she owned the stage. A few weeks later, she went on Conan O'Brien's podcast, Conan Needs a Friend, and Conan offered an interesting perspective. He said, "Talent doesn't interest me that much. What really interests me is work ethic and process." He goes on to say, "This is not someone who was in a car on her way to this event writing this on the back of an envelope. This is someone who got the assignment, and you correct me if I'm wrong, was like, okay, I'm going for it, and I'm going to put the work in." And he was spot on. Nikki Glaser's moment on this Netflix special was not happenstance. It was not some organic, we'll just see what happens when I get there kind of moment. It was planned. It was rehearsed. It was workshopped and workshopped and workshopped again. And then when it looked close to a finished product, she took it to the comedy clubs to see how live audiences would respond to them. This brought her back into the workshop and the writing table. Okay, that joke bombed, but this joke worked. And then it was rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed until it was flawlessly executed. Here is Nikki Glaser in her own words.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. I knew it was going to be this moment that a lot of people would watch or talk about, or I didn't realize it would be as big as it was. But all these roasts that I've done, I've always kind of done the same process where I hire a team of writers and I treat it like, if I was hosting the Oscars or something, I wouldn't do it alone. Your stand-up act. I think a lot of times stand-ups have to pride themselves on we just write everything ourselves. And I do that with my own stand-up act. But this, I was like, I want it to be a collaborative effort. I know that that's how I've done great in the past. And it's not my natural inclination to be like a roasty person. I have to kind of get in that mode. So I instantly assembled a team and was like, here's who's going to be doing the roast, start sending me jokes. And then I start thinking in roast mode, and then I can start writing jokes. And then I took that set out so many times to different clubs.
So much of what we can bring into our working world can be learned from watching great people wield their craft and then extrapolating or emulating a little bit of their process into our own process and workflow. In one of my earlier seasons, I highlighted a woman named Sarah Horn, whose experience at a Kristin Chenoweth concert at the Hollywood Bowl went viral when it was uploaded to YouTube in August of 2013. She was called up by Kristin Chenoweth to sing for good with her. "What do you do for a living?" asked Mrs. Chenoweth. "I teach voice lessons at a college," remarked Miss Horn. And together they went on to sing this duet in perfect harmony, shocking Kristin along the way, who was more used to propping up amateur talent when she got to this part in her shows. But Sarah Horn wasn't an amateur talent, and this wasn't the first time she had sung for good. She knew both parts. She knew every word, every note, every harmony. She could sing Elphaba's part. She could sing Glinda's part. Wouldn't have mattered. Her work ethic and her process ensured that she was ready, because we don't know when a moment is going to be our moment. How many times in our daily lives do we just show up and hope for the best? For Nikki Glaser and Sarah Horn and so many others, that's not their process. That's not the secret to their success. They're not sitting around hoping for the best. They are practicing and practicing and practicing some more. Because when you do get your shot, all you have in that moment is the skill you've earned from all of your preparation. These are just a few of my thoughts. If you liked this episode, drop me an emoji in the comments that best illustrates your work ethic. Until then, make it a great week, and I'll see you next time on What's Jonathan Thinking?